They got a raw deal, because
Call this meeting of the Pittsburg City Commission to order. If everyone would please rise with me for the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is there anyone here for the public input session tonight on any topic? Yeah, go ahead and come up to the podium and give your name and address.
Thank you. My name is Frank Smarto. I live on West 2nd Street, and I would like to request the commission to consider putting in one, maybe two speed bumps on our block. Problem's not too bad right now as far as traffic seems to be cut down for the summer, but come next fall when school starts up again, it's going to go back to its old way of speeding 50 miles an hour down 2nd Street. It's mostly comes from the 800 and 900 block on West 2nd, but where I am, the 700 block is quite a long block. I'm afraid we have a lot of kids on the block. We have adults walking down the street and kids playing in the street. I'm afraid somebody's going to get hurt or get killed. So I feel that if we could, the city could put in one, maybe two speed bumps in there to slow the traffic down, then it would be just a little bit of insurance to possibly prevent an accident in the future sometime. I just wondered if the council would consider that.
I mean, that's something we would probably direct you to our, Cameron Alden, our public works roads guy, would probably be someone we would need to put him in touch with and get that looked into, I would presume.
Yeah, by coming here today, we'll take a look at it, study it, see what the best option is, and do a traffic count. I can't promise speed humps are the solution of choice or what's necessarily required, but we'll definitely take a look at it and come up with something and see if we can do something.
Okay, that's just what I thought of, and I know it's not necessarily the best idea, but it's all I could think of. But I was out in my front yard one time and I watched this guy coming down the street, and I couldn't believe he was moving so fast, and he saw me turning my head, and then he put the metal to the metal and really took off. He had the afterburners on. And I'm just afraid for the children.
Yep.
What's the posted speed limit through there?
I believe it's 30.
Really? In a residential neighborhood?
I don't really know. I don't.
Tim's shaking his head yes.
you're in the 700 block, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you for
for
sharing. I
coming in.
appreciate it. Is there anyone else that would like to share for public opinion time? If not, we'll close public input and move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that need to be removed?
B.
Item B, anything else? If nothing else, can I have a motion
So move.
Second.
with the absence of B? And been moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda minus letter B. So we'll have a roll call vote.
Johnson,
Aye.
Ketterman,
Aye.
Munsell,
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Yeah, Blake, I was just looking at this tax abatement, and for a portion of 2017, it says, what is that portion?
Yeah, and I'm glad you asked that, Commissioner. Typically with property tax exemptions, they run for the entire year. And actually, all of our notes related to this exemption indicated it was to expire at the end of 2016. We were notified by the state through the county appraiser's office that for whatever reason, I think it was a 4-month delay in starting the exemption back in 2010, that their records indicated that the exemption actually went through April of 2017 instead of expiring at the end of 2016 as our records had indicated. So they approached us and said as far as the state is concerned, the Holiday Inn Express does apply for those additional 4 months. Either way we handle it, we had to come to the City Commission to ask for your direction on whether we extend that for another 4 months or whether we end it at the end of 2016 as we thought it was. But There's been so much turnover at the state that the people who originally started that process for the state back in 2010 are no longer there. That was just their guess on why there's now the additional 4 months into 2017.
Thank you. I have no further questions on this. If I move to approve.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. All right, special presentation. Oh, before we get into that, I guess I should clarify. So Michael Gray, who is the mayor, is gone for this evening. So I, as president of the board, am filling in for him if anyone was wondering why Michael looks so different and sounds so different this evening. Special presentation. So presentation of the city manager's submitted budget. City manager Darren Hall and director of finance Jamie Clarkson will present the city manager's submitted budget for 2018.
Thank you, Commissioners. Jamie is going to hopefully bring up the budget calendar. He'll walk you through that real quick to see where we are in the process, and then I'll have some comments, and we will go from there. Jamie?
Good evening, Commissioners. As you recall from working day and the book, the budget book I sent out to y'all, there's a budget calendar in there for the 2018 budget. Process started in April of 2017, and we're now at July 11th, 2017, where the city manager presents the 2018 budget to you guys for review. In 2 weeks, we'll come back, and we have to have formal action on whether we'll accept it as presented, and then I have to publish a budget notice and hearing in the paper by the 28th of July. And then on August 8th, we'll formally have a public hearing on the budget and adopt the budget at that time. And then I have to have the certified state document to the county clerk by August 25th. Then approximately the first meeting in September, we'll come back to you with our 5-year capital plan improvements going forward. Anybody have any questions on the calendar? Okay, I'll turn it over to Darren.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Jamie.
Good job, Jamie. Well, as Jamie mentioned, this is the opportunity for the staff, and specifically myself on behalf of the staff and the work we've done with you, to present a submitted budget for your consideration. Will be available in the next 2 weeks, and of course on the 25th, I expect that any recommended changes, anything that you want to see to what's submitted today, we'll have that discussion then and be prepared to answer any of your questions. But I'm not going to read the 2.5-page letter like I usually do, because it's usually only a page. I know 2.5 is too much, so I'm going to hit some highlights, if you will. We'd be happy to answer any questions this evening, and we appreciate your help. The 2018 submitted budget will continue our community's effort to grow and improve. That's the stage that we're in right now. We are definitely experiencing considerable commercial, industrial, and housing growth, and we've responsibility to prepare a comprehensive plan that will allow us to maximize these efforts. That comprehensive plan is something that we're going to focus on for the next 3 months. And when we get requests back from potential vendors of how they would like to do it and what the cost would be, we will bring that to you and talk about financing that plan. But at this time, that is a high priority for us with all that's going on. Our model of partnering with the Chamber of Commerce and Pitt State for economic development services is working. We've had a very good first 4 quarters, yeah, that'd be nice, 4 months of the year, a first quarter, and I think it's just the beginning of what's going to happen. The Imagine Pittsburgh 2030 Steering Committee was reconvened in late 2016 and early this year. They've reestablished goals. A lot of their work is reflected in this submitted budget by some of the things that you'll see recommended by myself and staff. Our building demolition program has never been so effective, with a goal of demolishing 80 structures this year and 80 next year. Very proud of that crew. When combined with the nearly 300 new housing units either planned or underway, the changing in our housing will be impactful and immediate. Appreciate everybody working on that. Our housing needs assessment indicated we need all types of housing. With the addition of the student housing at Block 22, a local income housing tax credit near 31st and Michigan, that program has been approved by you, and a planned residential development east of the university, which we will be bringing to you for more specifics, and retirement villas included. Multifamily on the east side. 2018 will see the first real progress in our housing initiatives. Continue to support existing programs and implement new initiatives. 3 positions are being created for 2018. As you know, we don't add positions lightly. The last significant increase in positions was during the public safety sales tax. Of the 3 positions that are being recommended for 2018, 2 are actually still tied to that sales tax. A police evidence clerk and a clerk to assist our special prosecutor are in the 2018 budget, as well as one of the recommendations from the Imagine Pittsburgh 2030 committee is to create a public information manager who will coordinate our messaging and promote our community successes. This is something that I have put off for several years. A lot of people have recommended that we do a better job of marketing and promoting ourselves. But quite frankly, I wasn't confident that what the product that we had to market and promote was of the quality that we wanted to. I think we're there now. We've got a lot going on, and taking heed to that recommendation, we're moving on that position. For only the second time, this is the good stuff. For only the second time since 2009, our assessed valuation did not decline. It actually increased. In 27, it increased by a mere 1.3%. This year, it increased by 6.5%. The sales tax, in addition, also is projected to increase by 2%. So that's all very good news. That allows us to keep the mills where they are and just maintain the status quo and finally see the value in our community that's being generated by all of the investment that has been done. Our general fund reserves are increasing, but are not yet at our accepted levels. The average wage in Pittsburgh has increased 10% in the last few years, and the percentage of families below the poverty rate has decreased during that same time. Those are 2 considerable numbers to think about. You really want to measure if what you're doing is providing the results that you're trying to achieve, and those 2 numbers say a lot about what we're doing as a community. And I think it would be hard-pressed to find anybody that didn't agree that higher wages and less poverty are 2 things that we can all get behind. Regardless of our efforts, though, costs continue to rise, obviously. Health insurance, work comp insurance, property and liability insurance are all expected to increase by approximately 3%. Electricity alone is expected to increase 4% or $56,000 over last year. Regardless of our efforts to reduce our use of electricity at specific facilities and to look for alternative sources of power, we're continually forced to absorb increase upon increase. We continue to look for ways to meet the increasing cost while preserving our service levels, and that effort will only get more vigorous as we move forward. Finally, I would like to recognize our community partners for their role in our recent success and our bright future. Our business community continues to reinvest in Pittsburgh. Our volunteers give their time to see that Pittsburgh not only remains beautiful, but active and healthy as well. Our downtown is seeing the largest investment perhaps in its history since those buildings were originally built. And continued reinvestment is planned for the future due to a lot of efforts of private citizens and private businesses. This is indeed a great time to be in Pittsburgh. I look forward to the city's effort as we move forward together. The following detailed budget is presented for your consideration. In it, you will find specifically a few things. There is no mill rate increase recommended in the 2018 budget. There is a 1% increase in utility rates to keep up with the rate of inflation. We are building our reserves. If we stay the course, we'll be at our goal by the end of 2020. Currently at $2.5 million by 2018, but that's kind of a false number, as you know, because the public safety sales tax accounts for $700,000 of that. So if you take that back out and you look, and I know 2020 sounds like, oh my gosh, that sounds like a long ways away. 2020 is 2.5 years away. It's hard to believe, but that's how close we are to making up all of the ground that we lost since the Great Recession in 2008 and the hit we took. On expenditure side, we have a one-time increase of 44,000 that we'll be absorbing for the Capers, police and fire, and a one-time increase of 57,000, like I said, in electricity. And there are no raises for the staff recommended in 2018. And we have the 3 new positions. And like I said, most of that information, most of our recommendations reflect your wishes and the direction that we were getting from the IP 2030 Steering Committee. With that, I appreciate all the work that the 5 of you have put into this. The staff's done an unbelievable job. I think the budget's a solid document. If you have any questions on it, please make time with us over the next 2 weeks to come into the office, and I'll get whatever directors or whoever you want in there to answer the questions. And we look forward to helping you make a good decision on the 25th, and appreciate all of your time. Thanks.
So did you want to field any questions now, or simply hash that out?
You guys
meeting.
are welcome to ask us anything. If we can't answer it, we'll obviously follow up later. So however you want to proceed, we'll be happy to do our best.
I have a lot of questions, but I want to do it all at one time and in a setting where whoever needs to be there can be there.
Sure.
And by the way, I've read through all of these pages, and it's really an interesting and informative and very easily laid out book, budget.
There's a lot of numbers in there.
A lot.
But yeah, Jamie does a great job. Thank you.
I don't have any questions at this time, but I'd just like to thank you and the staff for all the hard work and the effort you put into this, because it's, and Patrick will attest to this, I'm sure, it sure has been simplified over the last few years on how easy this budget document is to get through, and we appreciate that.
I don't have any questions either. I think, well, the ones I do have, it'd be better to hold them when all 5 of us is present, and we can have a discussion on it then.
I do have kind of one general question for clarification. So on the new position, the PR person, because there's not a mill increase, how is the cost absorbed? Like, where does that? Could you explain that a little
Probably
bit?
the easiest way to think about the city's budget is we have pools of money. Okay, we have pools to do capital improvements, we have pools to pay debt service, and the budget that you adopt every year basically gives us our $52 million worth of revenue. It puts it into these pools, and all these pools have some flexibility to no flexibility. Debt service, there's no flexibility. We're paying all the debt service, but when you get into the pools where all the salaries are, where you have general fund and a couple of the utility funds, salaries are very interesting because we budget, the budget you pass takes a position and funds it for the year. Well, obviously during a year people come and go. As somebody leaves a position, that money that was budgeted for those weeks between when that position is filled and when it's vacated, that money is free and clear. Those are the kind of funds that if Jamie's doing a good job, as he usually does, we hold the line pretty tight, and instead of just repurposing those funds to something that I feel like we need to be doing or that Jamie has a pet project, we just let them fall to fund balance, and that's what allows us for the last 3 years to build our fund balance. By not repurposing those savings dollars, we can continue to put them into fund balance. But there's always the flexibility to fund a position or 2 or 3 or 10 if you needed to out of those dollars. That's such a large amount that when you fund every position at the full year, it's such a huge amount. And due to attrition and things, there's always money that could be repurposed or done something during the year. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to clarify, because on paper it sounds, like magic numbers, like we're gonna hire a position and not fund it, but that kind of thing helps to clarify that, not just for me, but for
No, that's a good question.
anybody looking at this, scratching their head going, how's that gonna happen, kind of thing.
Yeah, we have the flexibility to do things during the year to make it to manage the things that happen, and that's one of them.
Okay. Well, if there are no other questions, we will, so for folks at home, during the next couple of weeks, commissioners will be asking questions. If anyone at home or in the audience has questions about the budget, this is online, correct? On the
Correct.
city's website. So you can look through it and ask us questions if you have any concerns or thoughts or ideas, particularly before the next meeting, which is when we'll hash through it, discuss it, and ultimately vote on what the budget will look like for the upcoming year.
And they can absolutely ask us questions as well.
As well as city staff,
Yeah.
because oftentimes they know a lot more than we do since it's their job, so.
We try. Thanks.
You're trying very well. It's working out. All right, moving on. Consider the following. Conditional use request. The Planning and Zoning Commission / Board of Zoning Appeals in its meeting of June 26, 2017 voted 7-0 to recommend governing body approval of a request submitted by Lauren Page and Lauren Rink for a conditional use under the provisions of Article 30 of the Pittsburg zoning ordinance to allow a canine group home shelter to be located on the property located at 210 West Kansas Street. I've been informed that this was tabled for this evening. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Cameron? Okay. So we'll move on then to item B on the agenda, also a conditional use request. The Planning and Zoning Commission / Board of Zoning Appeals in its meeting of April 24th, 2017 voted 6-0 to recommend governing body approval of a request submitted by Bart Arnett of Crossland Construction on behalf of Six Pack LLC for a conditional use under the provisions of Article 30 of the Pittsburg zoning ordinance to allow a parking lot to be constructed on the property located at 102 West Monroe. Cameron?
During the site plan review, this request was made. What they're looking at doing is they'll have customer parking and some employee parking along their property along Broadway. The overflow for their employee parking would be what would be utilized along that lot. If you've been by there, you would realize right now that it actually is paved as a parking lot. It's got the parking bumpers, but it has a chain link fence around it currently. There will be a privacy fence put in there up to our current codes, and that was part of the review as well.
So the business going in will be on the empty lot on Broadway?
Be on Broadway,
I
correct.
gotcha. So what is Six Pack LLC? I have not heard anything about them. Do you have any idea, or you're just?
Nope, just the name of the business they put together. Typically, you'll see an LLC put together in a development just to help identify the business unit, because usually once the project is completed, that unit gets dissolved.
Gotcha.
This address, just the west side of the alley?
Correct, it's the first lot just west of the alley on the north side.
No other questions or concerns, I move to approve.
A second.
Second? All right. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Cameron.
Good job, Cameron.
All right, non-agenda reports and requests. The bi-monthly budget review. Director of Finance Jamie Clarkson will provide the June 30th, 2017 bi-monthly review.
Every 2 months, I come and present the budget review of how the city's operations are doing. Tonight, I'm presenting as of June 30th, which is halfway through the year. I don't have anything really to comment on. Everything's in the green. Some things might look like they're less than 50% on the revenue side. That's just because the way they're skewed on the revenue streams, like the way it comes in, but they're good. Same on the expenditure side. Everything is less than 50% except for like the revolving loan fund, which, if you recall, we had some upfront money we paid out early in the year for our first payment on the Block 22 of $750,000, which kind of skewed the budget. It'll even out towards the end of the year. Other than that, I really don't have anything to comment on the budget lines per fund there. Do you have any questions on that part of it?
I just got one question, Jamie. How much do we have in that revolving loan fund right now?
Right now, as of June 30th, we got about 2.8 million right now, unencumbered funds.
Thank you, sir.
Sales tax, we're up 3 months in a row. In June, we were up 7% in April, 7% in May, and then we're up 6.7% in June. So I think we're going to finish the year with a good positive percentage. I'm still conservative because I've seen it go the other way. I'm projected 2.5% growth for this year at the end of December. Gaming revenues, that's a new revenue stream for the city. We've got 2 months of revenue collections so far for April and May. The average is $27.5 thousand a month in gaming revenues.
When do you get them? What day of the month?
I get them like around the 10th of the month, each month. It's still early. I don't have enough history to project really on how that's going to play out over a year's time. I would expect the fall and winter months is probably stronger for gaming due to darkness and cold weather, but I really don't know.
Jamie, back to sales tax. I noticed that Joplin's having an issue with their lack of sales tax. I think that we are going to have to be really cautious about forecasting what we are looking for, because I know there's so much online and catalog sales that.
One of the issues Joplin, I think, ran into was after their tornado, they pretty much made a giant area of a TIF district. So all the revenues, tax or sales tax captured, was to go to repay the infrastructure. It wasn't for general operations purposes all over there. But yeah, I'm pretty conservative on my estimates. It's pretty amazing that I said 2.5% growth for this year.
That's an understatement.
I'm glad you kind of explained that Joplin's sales tax issue to me. 'Cause
Okay.
I didn't read that part of the article if it was in there.
Well, I kind of follow that stuff every once in a while and what's going on with that over there, because I know they've had issues ever since their tornado on their sales tax collections.
And we have met with the mall ownership and several other large retailers that were interested in the area and talked about what you brought up, which is a very real concern of the future of big box stores in general, and the concept of what is retail and who gets to collect it and how's it going to affect your bottom line, because as we all know, we've turned the corner and our sales tax actually generates more than our property tax. But not being a huge retail center like Joplin, we do have the advantage that right now our sales tax is on some of those more simpler common goods and services like dinner and downtown. And so hopefully we can, somebody asked me this week a question about the restaurants that have, the restaurants that close, and I said, what was the last restaurant that closed in Pittsburgh? And it took a while, and he was like, no, I haven't really thought about it. It's been a while. Restaurants come and go. I don't want to put down the restaurant business. That's a tough business to be in, but, people's preferences change. We've been very lucky that the choices, and I think a lot of it's due to the marketing that Blake did early on with the size of our community and the way that it ebb and flows with the population because of the students. We've got some really right-sized stores here that can manage to get through those 3 months where maybe they're not as busy as they were, and make the lion's share of what they need during those school months so they don't have to close. But the other side of it is, you're driving into town right now in the middle of summer, there's cars all over the place, and there's definitely a lot of people that are working in Pittsburgh, and with wages paying 10% more and poverty being down, those are both strong indicators of a strong economy. So hopefully those restaurants can continue to stay here, and we can continue to see that sales tax, because once your sales tax starts going down, there's not a lot of options for making it up. And
All the
Jamie is
more reason to keep strong on this Shop Pittsburgh agenda.
I did see where Amazon is now collecting sales tax in 46 out of the 50 states. And the 4 states that are not collecting sales tax in is because those states have no sales tax. So that's kind of they're like the giant on the online business, so that's kind of moving in the right direction, I believe.
The mall guy told us he thought all retail, 20% of all retail would be Amazon's before soon.
How would that work, Jamie, with them collecting sales tax like on Amazon?
You know,
Would it just all go to the state, or?
I would think that it would go to the jurisdictions based upon the shipping address, but I'm not for sure.
You know, you'd think today with the computer and keying in all of our separate tax locations, that it wouldn't be, I mean, once you set that program up, it's up.
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that nobody's pushed that further. I know I have talked to the governor about it, and I've talked to Darren about our League of Kansas Municipalities, politicking on that.
Yeah. Anybody have any further questions on that? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. Appreciate it. All right. So other non-agenda reports and requests. So today is election day for the quarter-cent street sales tax. So if you have not voted yet, the polls are still open for another 58 minutes. So you can get out and do that because we sorely need the revenue to improve streets and start improving sidewalks. So if you have not done that, get on that. Additionally, Tammy had left me a note up here. So apparently today is John Ketterman's birthday.
Uh-oh.
So if I have a volunteer from the audience to run us through happy birthday, that would be, no?
Turned 29 today.
Happy birthday, John. Thank you for
Happy
your...
birthday.
What's happening? Okay. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear John. Happy birthday to you.
All right.
Thank you very much. I paid good money for less performances than
Public service.
Bend over the counter, we can all walk by and take a swipe.
All right, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.